smoke all in it. Smoke all in it. In the passenger with smoke all in it. In my four-corner room, thinking of the next move. Y'all get crazy, trying to hold on cool. Money on the mind, while we trying to roll a doobie. My girl be tripping, trying to make my life a movie. Left from the 8, trying to get my shit straight. But my people looking at me like it was all hate. After all the time I programmed with the snakes, calling out metal, say let's ride to the gate. So we ride to the gate, we gon' ride to the day. I got the band homies rolling with the AK, and they gon' listen to anything that you gotta say. If you wanna go to war for no reason, we gon' bring it. We gon' go missing in the smoke whenever I get fed. I'll be cruising down, saucing in the passenger blazing, make a right on that meter, but we rolling up the cake. I got my girl with me, that we rolling when I'm straight out the window. Go back with the window, and the camera read the windows still. In the passenger with smoke all in it. Smoke all in it. In the passenger with smoke all in it. Smoke all in it.
What up, man?
In the passenger with smoke all in it.
I told my little homie that I'm really down to ride with it. Utilizing 9 and keep these suckers out of line with it. Think somebody's snitching cause they trying to see that I did it. Never show my face, no case, took my time with it. Bitch, can't you tell that I'm a criminal? Can't you tell I rip my shit in every visual? I put a couple of these bitches in my videos, and then I'm gonna catch a check for my residuals. Hates an individual, never to the minimum. Homies with the straps and the scratched off cereals. Couldn't stop playing with me, homie caught her playing with me. Went to Chicago, then I brought him to LA with me. Occasionally you should blaze with me. Call up the squad, it's okay with me. It's okay with me. I called up Chantelli to stay with me. Young Sinatra, 5-star was fucking zero. Yeah, smoke all in, smoke all in, smoke all in, bang that shit, smoke all in. Run through your bulletproof vest. 4-7 to the chest. Sinatra. Yeah.
Hey, we starting right about now, man. What's going on, Bump? I swear. I'm waiting on Preacher to turn in.
What up, fam?
What's up, cuz? What's happening?
Nothing much.
Let me get this straight. I see you repping them Dodgers, man. What's going on, man?
Bro, it's just the colors, man. It's just the colors.
Oh, okay. I thought you know something about some baseball, man.
Oh, I know something about some baseball now. Don't
Hey,
get
man. Hey, look,
explicit.
Hey, man. I'm gonna tell you something. I learned baseball from the church. I'll tell you that though. I ain't gonna lie to you. I used to go. When the church used to give out free tickets to the Orioles games. I go way back.
All right.
At Memorial Stadium, you heard me.
We're gonna have to come back around to that one.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna have to come back around to that one because
How you been?
Hey man, I'm just trying to make it. Take one day at a time, and do what it make it do, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
A lot going on in this world right now, man. So I'm just trying to survive and, you know, be an impact in the world the best way I can. Every individual I come in contact with. You know,
Yeah, we making it happen right now. That's what we try. What's what we here to do right now.
and man, you got to use everything that God has allowed us to use everything that God puts in our hands, man. And I think a lot of uh, people are really hesitant of using social media. You know what I'm saying? But it can be a tool for good, man. And you know, anyone that's on social media, they can see the good and the bad. So we trying to rep the good on our side, on our end.
All the time, all the time.
What
We're
about you?
gonna see if a couple more people tune in before we get started.
Okay, how was your week?
Man, I tell you, man, being a father, man, you know how that is, man. I'm telling you, man, that right there, that's some work, man. That's some work, boy.
Yeah.
I'm putting it in the streets. Ain't got nothing on this, man.
Oh man,
Ain't got nothing on it, man.
I can't wait.
I got football practices. I got all kinds of stuff, man. I'm telling you, man. I got everything, man. I got everything going on, man.
That's good. That's good.
I swear, boy, it ain't a dog day, man. I swear, boy.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. That is absolutely.
Yeah, I can't complain though. I can't complain at all, man. I signed up for it.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Soon as you came out your mama's womb, we already signed up for
Signed up for it, man. So I can't complain at all, man.
Amen. That's good.
Yeah.
Man. Real good. That's real good. Which one of your sons play football?
Shit, man, all of them.
He said, one of them gotta make it, huh?
And look, I put the football down. I was a basketball player, man. These boys, they play ball, man. They play football though, man. They harder than me, man.
I know that's right. Hey.
I got too pretty. I got too pretty to be getting tackled all the time, man. I said, I can't do this too much long. I retired in high school.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You know what I mean? I retired. I said, oh, no, this too. Man, look, man. I'm done. I am done, man.
One good hit, and that was it?
Hey, man, you know what it was? Man, they used to have practices on Saturdays and Sundays. Man, I couldn't have that. Hey, check this out. I was too busy trying to go to Hammer Jacks.
Boy, you going way back now.
They was trying to stop me from going to Hammer Jacks, Jack. I said, hold on now. I can't do this with y'all, Jack.
Hammer Jacks. Oh my goodness gracious, man. You stirring up some memories now.
It's getting it in, man.
Under the bridge? Oh my goodness gracious.
The original one. Before
bridge.
Raven Stadium was there. Where the stadium at right there.
Yes, sir. Woo-wee.
Yeah, that's where we was getting it in at.
My goodness. Man. All right, man, it's 5 after. Let's jump right into it. I just want to welcome everyone, our second episode of our show. Last week was a really good conversation. We kind of really just introduced ourselves and, we kind of got into 2 topics and we kind of talked about them. So we want to kind of pick up a little bit, give a little about 5-10 minutes, talking about our topic. We didn't really get to finish the time, which is moving so fast, and we were just really having a good time. So if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm pretty certain we was talking about, can you be a gangster and have a level of spirituality, and can you be in the church and also be a gangster? So that was kind of what we was talking about.
Yeah, that was the debate that was going on.
Right. So, I just want to kind of recap on that one before we kind of, start getting, move the conversation along. So, what's your thoughts on that?
I like I was saying, man, I believe so. You know what I'm saying? Because I know some people don't think so because their definition of a gangster. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. So all right. So hold on. Before we answer that question, so now we gotta move the conversation along, because I think that's gonna be helpful, because me and you kind of part ways on
right. Yeah, that's what we. Yeah.
This conversation gonna be good.
Right.
So instead of, I'm not gonna ask you to define what a gangster is. How about you kind of explain some of the misnomers about being a gangster? What are some of the things that people think a gangster is and ain't? How about that, instead of trying to define a gangster? Because it's levels to it. You know what I mean?
First off, is a code you live by. It's a code you live by and die by.
Right.
First off, and that code is when you grow up in a certain section or certain community, because it's beyond race. You know what I'm saying? Like it's and I try to, and I sit down with my sons. You know what I'm saying? I got 4 boys, so I have to explain to them. You know what I'm saying? Because I look at the history of gangsterism. You know what I'm saying? And before, when we was warriors in Africa and everything like that, man, these white boys started, you know what I'm saying? They've been robbing and robbing banks. They were doing that before we knew what bank, before they let us put money in the bank. You see what I'm saying? Billy the Kid and all these cats, man, they was really doing it before we even knew what it was. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's not about a race of people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And thinking that because you hang out on the corner or you sell drugs, for one, that's a myth. You know what I'm saying? I know.
Not all gangsters sell drugs.
No, I know plenty cats that's in the penitentiary, Jack, that ain't sold a drug in their life. You know what I'm saying? Like, that don't have nothing to do with it at all. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's just the code that you live by, and it's so many rules to it.
Mm-hmm.
that you come into your own with what you can deal with and what you can't.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why a lot of people say, like, snitching and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because if you know you can't handle the heat in the kitchen, Jack, you shouldn't be doing some stuff that you shouldn't be doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you a gangster has to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have, it's not because that people don't, you shun on snitching and everything. It's just the fact when you come into that light, when you come into that thing that you call whatever your gang or whatever it is, your clique, my clique, it's like, these guys got your back. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know that you will do anything for these cats. It can be violence involved. You know what I'm saying? Because,
all right. So now we get into Pacific, right?
Because things come with it. Because you got to stand up against other gangsters.
Okay.
You can't call yourself no gangster if you standing up against peewees or you standing up against some guys that ain't tough.
Okay.
You gotta walk the line with other tough cats. You know what I'm saying?
So can we both agree, without getting into detail, can we both agree that the life of a gangster, life is surrounded by crime? Would you say there's an element of criminality with it?
It is an element of crime. It's an element of crime with it.
A large part of it.
It's an element of crime with it. But what I'm saying is, you don't necessarily have to be doing the crime. You see what I'm saying? Listen to me. Listen.
Okay.
But your activities with who you're involved with can be into crime. You know what I'm saying? Like, just say, okay, look, just say if I'm just say a gunman, what we call a gunman.
Right.
He don't sell drugs.
Mm-hmm.
He be with you. He be with you all the time. He living his day-to-day life. Shit, he probably go to church with you every week. You know what I'm saying? But when it's time to when it's time to do some things, like he gets busy.
Okay. All right.
You see what I'm saying?
You see what I'm
saying?
Right. So this is why
the crime part comes in when somebody needs his help.
Oh Lord. So this is why you believe that you can be in the church as well as be a gangster.
But listen to me. If he never gets called upon, he might not never have to commit a crime.
Oh my goodness gracious. All right. Well, see, this is where we part ways, right? Because, you know, being a person, I'll just use the word religion, right? That way it doesn't just cover my faith. It just, cover, multitude of religion. So with religion comes certain rules and what's the word I'm looking for? A certain you live by a certain code. I'll just use that word. A certain code that you live by, not to honor man or money or material things, is to honor God. So that's why I say I don't believe you can be a gangster and still be in the church. I believe you can have some tendencies from living that life, like still have your belief, but not necessarily like engage in crime. Because I think,
but listen to me. But listen, one thing. Listen to me. If you got whenever you get large enough and you get big enough, and you feel like the other pastors and you moving around, you might need a bodyguard. Am I correct?
Yeah, but wait a minute. Say it again.
I say when I believe you're going to get large, I believe you're going to get huge. When you get large, you're going to have a bodyguard. Am I correct? Some kind of security. Am I correct?
See, you probably asked the wrong person. See, because you know what I mean. I don't think I'm gonna have to move like that. I mean, well, let me put it like this: it's very well possible. Let me just,
a lot of these pastors do, right?
Well, they're not necessarily bodyguards. They're called armor bearers. But
come on, man. Come on, yo.
True that. I agree.
They packing heat. I've seen them before. They packing heat. They're protecting their guy, right?
True. Yeah.
That's not a crime element, right?
Yeah, but it's not. But the armor bearers are there to protect the pastor from crime being committed on him.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to, commit a crime.
Yeah.
But that's not that armor bearer or that bodyguard is not.
They do have bodyguards. They're
not there to they're not necessarily. Well, how can I word this?
They're not there to harm anyone. They're not there to harm anyone, right? So if I done made enough money in the street. My partner will do anything for me that I need him to do, because that's my partner, and
okay,
he's like my bodyguard, and he's like my bodyguard. I'm not in the street no more, but people want to take my paper, right?
Okay, so let me put it.
That's what I'm saying.
A pastor success, or if a pastor gets to the degree where they need security, their success is not built off of criminal acts. You know what I'm saying? So their bodyguard is not there because they are.
But a person may want to hurt them for no particular reason.
True that. Because the thing about us in the church, we're not just fighting a war on the streets. We're fighting a spiritual battle too. So
exactly, and people want to get at y'all, right? And right, that's what all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You have to protect yourself the same way.
Right. But I'm saying, I let's say this: we both agree that on both sides of the spectrum, that level of success does require a level of protection. But what we part at is that it doesn't equate, because, well, I mean, I guess it all depends where the pastor came from too.
It depends. It depends.
I mean, so I get that. I can understand that part, but just from a general standpoint of just separation, that that
criminal
armor bearer
element
or
is there.
bodyguard is not there.
The criminal element.
Defend the pastor, or protect the pastor from him wrongdoing, versus a gangster having a bodyguard. He's out there looking because he know he did some mischievous things to get what he has.
Yeah, some things. Yeah, some things. I'm just describing to you as a gangster could just be a dude just holding his own. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you're a man and you're a stand-up guy because you came up with these guys and you grew up with these guys don't mean that you out here selling drugs or you hurting anybody and thing like that, but you do stand your ground on the neighborhood that you stand on and the gang that you stand on. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like everybody ain't out here selling drugs and trying to hurt people. That's a misconception. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm saying the misconception is. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my description to you as a gangster. It's just like it's not the criminal element because you know you can jaywalk. You know what I'm saying? You can break a law. You know what I'm saying? Like you can break a law. I don't consider you as a criminal. You know what I'm saying? You can. You know, if your family's starving, bro, you go to you know what I'm saying? You go to the supermarket and you gotta get it in, bro. That ain't no criminal element to me. I know real criminal element if you want to say criminal element. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So you looking at it as far as levels of
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like it ain't necessarily always the law because laws is coming up with rules, man, that we can't control, that somebody put in place for us to not break. You know what I'm saying? Like
you're a gangster for real.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not going to be mad at you. I'm not going to have no hate in my heart.
Right.
If you got to go get to the grocery store and you got to steal some chicken patties, man, you got to get it in. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But this is where we split at, right? Because for us in the church, even when we're suffering, even when we're down and out, even when we struggle, we still have to protect that level of a moral behavior, that doesn't cause harm to no one else or deframe God. So even when I struggle, you know, here's where our spirituality kicks in. Here's when our faith kicks in. Like, all right, God, you know we struggling. What do I need to do? Where do I need to go?
Right.
Our first reaction should not be, and I'm talking about the church, our first reaction should be, Slick got it, so I'm going to get it from him because he got it and I don't. So, you know, it's you know, dog eat dog world. So let me ask you this. So you say that you can be both. So help me understand where the spirituality part comes in the gangster life.
Because number one, I pray every day. You know what I'm saying? I believe in God 100%. You know what I'm saying? I don't judge people's religions. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't. That gets in too deep on who is who and everything like that. But for the most part, that you know what I'm saying? Like I'm you know what I'm saying? I try to live righteous for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't like when we was talking before we ended last time. Like yo, I don't want to be around snakes. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like people, it's a lot of false advertisement, man. It's, you know what I'm saying? Like all this gorilla talk and snakes and boogeymans and bro, if you a real one, you don't want to be around those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like they what you would look at as in the street as the devil. You know what I'm saying? They don't have no consequences. They don't have no rules and regulations and laws or nothing. You know what I'm saying? They just out here. They just out here hurting people. That ain't no gangster. You know what I'm saying? That's the devil himself. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a figment of somebody's imagination, man. They going around and listening to some of these guys in music and they talking about demons. Man, if you really, really, really been in the trenches, you talking about demons and all that, brother, something wrong with your head. Because you ain't gonna never get right. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna be in the penitentiary where it's real dudes that, you know what I'm saying, that don't want to hear none of that you talking about. You know what I'm saying? And then you talking about, you know, losing your life behind some bull. You know what I'm saying? Like don't nobody, man, don't nobody want to go through that. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody want to put their family through that. Why you think a dude is even hustling? What would we even try to hustle for?
Right.
If you a real devil, like, what you talking about getting money for?
Right.
It don't even make sense. It don't even add up. So when you put a rapper together and he talk about all this stuff all put together to a real gangster, it don't make no sense.
It don't make no sense.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any kind of sense, because you can't be talking about women and money and doing all this and trying to get this and you getting that, and you talking about you seeing demons and devils and all this old kind of crap, bro. It don't even add up. You know what I'm saying? Or being around snakes.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like it don't even make sense.
Right. So, you know, I was thinking about this question and kind of like, you know, can you do both? And obviously, you know, we stand on opposite sides. I don't believe you can, because, you know, there's two separate codes in both lifestyles, you know. So what I started doing, I was like, man, let me kind of think about this. Let me look at, you know, let me go inside my Bible and see, was there some gangsters in the Bible, right? I'm being 100. This is how I think. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't grew up in the church.
You supposed to.
Yeah, so my approach to the Bible is the spiritual element comes in after I come up with an agenda, what I'm going into. Like, oftentimes I'll read the Bible just for self-insurance, but sometimes I go in with an agenda. So I went into the Bible with an agenda, like, all right, you know, was there gangsters in the Bible, right? So this is why I say you can have gangster tendencies, but you can't be a gangster and be in a religious setting or have a religious life, right? And I'm gonna use one of the most famous people in the Bible, one of the greatest apostles in the Bible. And even if a person don't go to church, they know Apostle Paul.
Right.
Right. You know, before he was Paul, he was Saul.
Right.
Right. So before before his name was changed, he was called Saul again. Right. So what he was doing was persecuting Christians. He was dragging women and men out of their house, putting them in prison, you know, getting them killed. You know, it was in an early part when the church was first established, there was a young man named Stephen, and, you know, he came out to church, you know, preaching and stuff, and they stoned him. And Paul just kind of you know, saw him, stood there and was just like, you know, egging him on. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then as he was on the road to Damascus, going to get more Christians. He came face to face with Christ, and then his life changed. He became a forerunner. He became a runner for God. So he ain't no longer persecute Christians. He actually became one.
Okay.
So this is why I say, looking at his life and how his life went from persecuting people, a life of crime, because anytime you take life, regardless of whatever it may be, that's a crime, period. And to go into saving lives. So he couldn't do both. He had to make a choice. So that's why, for me,
what if you sound like what if you protecting yourself? That's what I was explaining. You have to protect yourself.
Yeah, but then I don't think that it's a crime if you're protecting yourself. I don't think that is a crime. I believe just what you just said is you have the right to protect yourself. That's in the Bible and in the law of the world. You have you have the right to protect yourself.
Yeah,
so that's the example I'm giving why I believe that you can't. It's almost impossible because it's two different codes. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? It's just two different codes. Like, I believe anybody or anyone can have a level of spirituality. You know, part of spirituality is believing in a higher being. Right. Right. So I'm really just talking about a religion, moral standard, and how you govern your life. Because, you know, the gangster lifestyle has a standard and how, you know, or code, as you said.
So what do you? So
those two codes, those two ways of governing your life,
what do you think about churches taking gangster money then?
Look, what I think, let me see, what do I think?
Cause we can go to the Italians, we can go to any, We can go to Hell's Angels and all. I got homies. I got homies in the biker gangs. I got white boys in the biker gangs, and them boys, I look, this the way, and this is the thing that another thing in the myth and everything, like as far as though, like, I don't like about black culture took the criminal element that gangs and gangsterism does. I got biker gang homies, bruh. They donate. They got charities. They do bike runs. They do bike runs for disabled children. But they do so many things for their community that is amazing to me. You know what I'm saying? When I first met these guys like 15 years ago, and that's all I was on. I was on some gangster shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, damn, like what's up? And when I met their whole other side of like what they do and what they cause and all that kind of stuff, I was like, damn, for real? It's like, man, yo, come out to the bike run. We Christmas. We doing a toy drive, and I'm talking about real gangsters, man. I'm talking about old guys from like 80 years old to 20, man, on them bikes, and they really get down and they really do some things, and like, but they give to their community, like no other. You know what I'm saying? Like no other, and that's the thing that's why I just asked you that question, because I know people personally like that. You know what I'm saying?
I you know, the fact that I'm not a pastor is going to be kind of challenging to answer that question, because I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Like when you're in a bind, you know, sometimes you're willing to do what it takes to survive. Now, I'm not in a position to judge any pastor that does that, but that's on their hands if that's what they choose to do. You know what I mean? You know, it's what is called blood money.
Okay.
You feel me? So what I think about it, I'll put it to you like this. If I was a pastor and one of my members was in a life of crime and they wanted to contribute to the church, we would have to have a conversation. I don't think that I will be able to take that money, because the one thing I know is, because when in that world, when someone gives you something, it's never a gift. It's always a favor.
Oh, and then no, that's not true. That's not true.
With my experience,
if
they're not your homie, they're not your friend.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but if this is just someone you just know and meeting this, that, and the other, nah, bruh.
Nah.
I can't take nothing from you.
I can't. What I just explained to you is real put together in an honorable way. Not like no TV show stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like real, like in an honorable way. They don't care. Like they don't care. Like they don't. It's not about the money. It's mostly like for the kids. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So most of the stuff that, you know what I'm saying, people that I know do is mostly for kids. You know what I'm saying?
So you don't have a problem if a pastor take money from someone that, you know, make their money from crime to a degree.
Yeah, to a degree, because I look at it as like, if you, just like you said, if you're in a bind, if you can't make no moves, you can't, you know what I'm saying? Like why can't a person like me do something for a good cause? You know what I'm saying? Like I not even just saying money, like even volunteering my time. You know what I'm saying? Like even though I'm just volunteering my time, I don't feel like you should just like disagree with me and just say like my money ain't no good if I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like like my body not no good if we out feeding the homeless or something like that. I do that. I give clothes to the homeless. I give my clothes to the homeless.
Well, I don't think no church gonna push back on that. I don't think no church gonna push back.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like I give my clothes to the homeless, bro. Like I don't even care about clothes and stuff. Like I give it. You know what I'm saying? I got, man, there's plenty goddamn homeless running around with Gucci and Fendi on, bro. I don't care about no clothes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what I'm saying. Do I feel like if he feel like I'm a gangster, he ain't gonna take it. He don't need it. He don't need some shoes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not that bad of a guy. You know what I'm saying?
I would say, again, I'm not a pastor, so I can't really. It's almost an unfair take for me to really kind of talk about, but because we're in this conversation, I'm gonna do the best that I can to explain, if I was a pastor, my perspective. Again, sometimes for some people, perception is their reality, right? So the pastor behavior, what he accepts, what he does with his time and with other people, can cause a perception to people from the outside that may not be true, right? And let me give you this example. There are some pastors that has big houses, big cars, you know, live a certain kind of lifestyle. The perception is that they're taking money from the church. That's the perception. But the reality is some pastors have a full-time job.
Right.
Some pastors write books. Some pastors do speaking engagements. Some pastors, you know, have other businesses that's not connected to the church where they're making money. Some pastors actually pastor their church and don't take any money from their church.
Right.
But also, as a pastor, the congregation responsibility to that man or woman is to take care of him, because he's taking care of them from a spiritual for a spiritual element, and that's biblical. That ain't religion. That ain't man-made rules. That is in the Bible. It tells us that we ought to take care of that man of God, because you know being a teacher, a preacher, that's a lot of work, bro. If you want to be sound, you want to be doctorate, you want to make sure that every T is crossed and every I is dotted, and you ain't fumbling and bumbling and just saying anything, or just you want to be sound, you want to be scriptural, you want to honor God. That's a lot of work, man. That ain't, you ain't just getting up there hooping and hollering and saying have faith and God, like that's work, bro. That, trust me when I tell you,
I understand. Work. I respect it, but I do feel like when it comes to that point, to that perspective, it's sometimes it seems shady, and it kind of seems like it got an element of crime to it to me too.
Okay, explain. Help me understand.
Because listen. When I see some of those guys, you know what I'm saying? I understand about you saying like the other businesses and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But it be people that I mean, I know, because I seen my grandmother do it. I seen my grandmother write checks.
Mm-hmm.
I seen my mother give money in the envelopes, bro, and I'm like, Ma, what we finna eat?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I be wondering, as a pastor,
right.
Do you believe it? Do you even see the people out there while you riding in your Benz, your Bentley, flying in jets, living in this, you know what I mean, big mansion? Like, do you really see your people?
Right. So I don't want to try to paint religion with a broad brush that every church is the same, because every church is different. The church has a responsibility not only feed the people in the community spiritually, but they ought to, feed them on a natural side as well. You know what I mean? They ought to feed the homeless and clothe the homeless and
take care of your people.
All those different things like that. But again, this is what I'm talking about, the perception. Let me ask you this. If you're trying to make it in life and you are following behind someone, but this person lived the same life you have, just to say right now, you don't have a car, your job ain't really paying you a lot. Would you follow a person that's living the same life, or would you be inspired by someone that's living a life, a little bit above you or above you, to inspire you, to help you understand that, these are the steps to get to where you need to be at?
See, you asking the wrong person, right?
No.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because I never been a follower, and I don't like to be seen. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I said this is like therapy for me. Because
Right.
I come up from an era where you don't supposed to be seen. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You can literally like track my history, bro. Like I don't have pictures with cats. I don't have pictures certain places I've been all over the world with people and all. Like I'm just getting used to this cell phone stuff. Like I'm coming out of the dinosaur age with all
Right.
this kind of stuff, man. Because the people that you talking about, like if you have to follow somebody because they got materialistic stuff to make yourself feel holy or whatever the case may be, like you might not be all that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
My point being, okay, let me ask you this. Let me ask the same question in a different way. Who inspires you?
who inspires me?
Right. Who inspires you to be a better person, be a better husband, be a better father? Just tell me more.
I would say like more of old political people like Malcolm X and
Okay.
Martin Luther
All right.
King.
All right. So
Stuff like that.
Let's take Malcolm X and Dr. King. They inspire you to be a better man. They inspire you to be a better father, a better husband.
Right.
What about them inspires you?
I believe their speech. I believe
Okay.
like a preacher preaches.
Okay. What else?
What else? Your words.
What else?
It's certain people that can get to me by speech,
Okay,
and
what
you
else?
know how to level how your ears take to certain levels. I think you know what I'm saying. I think that's what it is for me.
Give me two more things about them that inspires you to be a better person, a better man, a better husband, a better father.
I think Malcolm X was kind of like a gangster. He comes from a gangster background.
Yeah,
I kind of like
yeah.
that.
His behavior. Okay, that's two. Give me one more.
Martin, man. Dr. King. He was trying to bring unity. You know what I'm saying? I don't like. You know what I'm saying? I don't like people being racist and all that skin color, all that crap. You know what I'm saying? So I believe in, you know what I mean, bringing people together.
Right. And see, this is my point about the pastor. Right. He has to be an example for what you would deem to be successful. So when you look at certain pastors, not all pastors drive Bentleys or Mercedes Benz, but they present themselves, you know, regardless of what level, for as financial status they live on, or you know what I'm saying, they present themselves in such a way that it inspires.
And I'm gonna tell you, I understand that.
So that's why I'm saying perception can oftentimes be other people's reality.
Right.
So before like when you know, people ought to ask more questions, especially when it comes to pastors in the church, rather than saying, oh, you know, Pastor so and so driving a Mercedes, he must be taking the church money. Now, how about just saying, you know, let me go up here and find out what this pastor about. I'm gonna tell you, I'm the kind of gangster. I'm gonna be like, is your people's eating?
Cause we eating. You know what I'm saying? We eating.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we eating. That's the code that I live by. You know what I'm saying?
But we got to deal with that part first, because we have to deal with that part first, because in order for the pastor to get them to a place where they can receive the food that he's offering them, he has to present himself in such a way that he can take care of them. He can nurture them. He can harvest them, you know, because part of the responsibility of the church, not the pastor responsibility, his sole responsibility is give the word of God. That's his sole responsibility. Now, when it comes to function of the organization, now we're getting into what are we doing for the homeless? What are we doing for this, that, and the other? Now, if that's not happening, obviously you got to go to the pastor. Now,
yeah, because I want my whole congregation riding Benzes. You hear me? We eating. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my perspective. You know what I'm saying?
This is the thing that I discovered, not only inside the church but outside the church. Not everybody wants to be successful. And what I mean by that, they want the things of success, but they don't want to put the work in to be successful.
That's on both. That's
So,
both sides.
That's why I'm saying, like, when we begin to look at the pastor and the way the pastor live, you know, and present himself, and then we look at the congregation, you know, this, that, and the other, and mixture, we got to start asking more questions, not just say, well, if the pastor driving a Mercedes and Sister Susie on a bus, we got to start asking some questions like, Sister Susie, you know, what's preventing you from getting to that next level? Maybe, Sister Susie, there's a lack of education, or there's a lack of faith. You know what I mean? Because this is the thing. Right. And I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it again for those that's on the other side of the church. And what I mean by that, you're not necessarily in the church. Right. The pastor sole responsibility, his number one priority over everything. I mean, that means doing any community work, any giving out food, giving out any of those material things. His number one responsibility is to feed your spirit. That right. I get that. I get that. So, and the reason, and I'm glad we brought this up, because, you know, this narrative around the church, if the bishop or the pastor driving the car, everyone should drive a car. Now, that's not always true. You know what I mean? That's your number one responsibility. Now, from an organizational standpoint, here's what I say. That's why I say you got to start going in and start asking some questions, because right. Every ministry has a different purpose. Right. Now, every ministry should have an element of evangelism and community outreach, because that's part of the church. That is part of the organization. That is what Christ demands from his church. That should be, those parts should be a part of your organization. Right. If those things not happening, then we need to start asking questions. If there's no right. evangelism and no outreach, we got to start asking questions, because now, you know, and I'm being like 100. Right. We got to start asking some questions, because okay. If the pastor is living his life and there's no evangelism happening, right. There's no outreach happening, I'm not saying that he's not doing the will of God, but we got to start asking questions. But how much do you really think that's happening though nowadays? I'm like, with the greed that I have seen, that's what I'm talking about. I'm saying, like, what you're saying is supposed to happen. Right? It's happening, bro. It's supposed to happen. It's happening. No, I'm not saying it's not happening. Right. But most of the time, I feel like something's not right, because of the simple fact that, just like I said, if a person is believing in your word and you saying everything right, because I mean, you're supposed to, you're a pastor, you're supposed right. to, you know what I mean? What can you say wrong? But at the end of the day, if my lights ain't on, my car don't work, whatever the circumstances may be, right? Who is there for me? God. But see, I got you. Oh, here we go. I got you. You know, I thought you like, oh Lord, here we go. Real talk. But see, this is kind of the, how can I say that? This is kind of, I'll say it like this. This is one of the wounds of the church, right? And right. I do contribute to some pastors that they have made themselves God rather than teaching people to serve God, right? You know, oftentimes, you know, we ought to be Christ until someone sees Christ. And what I mean by that is the pastor ought to demonstrate some level of humility, some level of servitude. Like, if someone needs their lights turned on, if the church is in a position to help them get turned on. Yes. But also, this is the critical part. Also, the church needs to ask questions of why your lights are not turned on. Right. Because now the church needs to be a servant to that person, because the church is not should be a codependent to pay people bills. Not saying that. But what I'm saying is, if I'm giving to an organization, right? Don't even say the church, say the streets. If I'm giving to an organization, what you think we just out here would be able to take your money and you don't get nothing back? Okay, but listen. Now let me go back. Let me go back real quick, because I wanted to finish that thought, but I'll go back because you brought it up. Remember what I said, that the pastor's first responsibility is to give the word?
Exactly. I believe that.
So here's what the offering that comes in, well, let me say, the tithes that come in. Let me ask this. Would you go to a church that don't have no lights on?
I would wonder why the lights ain't on,
Okay.
but I mean,
Right.
if it's my church, I want to help them get the lights on.
That's my point. So if they have a light bill, they need toilet paper, they need running water, they need musicians, they need praise and worship, they need people to serve, they need all these other things. When people give money, what do you think that money go to?
Exactly. But at the same time, if my lights get cut off, my organization gonna help me out. I would think my church will be there for me at the same time. That's what I'm saying.
I agree. But also the pastor ought to let them know too. If you can't take care of your home, don't give to the church.
Who says that?
I'm not.
Who says that? You find me a blog, a vlog, a YouTube, or something, and you send that to me whenever you get off the line. You send that to me. I want to see a pastor that said that.
Well,
I want to see it.
I invite you. You killing me.
Cause I want to see it. I want to see it. You send it to me. And we will never have this discussion again.
I promise you.
I know you, when you get that big, you're going to be the one to do it. I know you will. But I'm talking about, don't speak for these other folks. Don't speak for these other folks. You find me a cat that's out here that's preaching the word, that's preaching the word, that's saying that on a regular basis to his congregation that they don't need it. He don't need their money if they struggle.
I don't think no pastor gonna necessarily say it like that. They're not. I'm pretty sure. Because it has to be done in context, right? Because an offering is another form of worshiping. You know what I'm saying? Because again, that offering. Let me stop saying offering. That tithe is to keep the lights on in the church.
Right. But you still should say give what you can. Am I correct?
Say it again.
You should be able to say give what you can.
Well, I mean, it all depends. Again, from a religion umbrella, I'll just say yes. I'll say yes. But far as when it comes to Christianity, in the Old Testament it was the 10th. That's what was required. In the New Testament, it says at the bare minimum, give your 10th. So that means you can give a 10th or more.
Damn.
It's up to you. So that's
gangster. That's gangster. That is gangster.
But this is the thing. That tithe doesn't go to the pastor.
I don't know where it goes. I never knew where it goes. I never knew.
The lights are on.
But what I'm saying is,
the lights are on. You got people singing.
But what I'm saying is, I didn't know it was a certain amount. I didn't know it was a certain amount. So you have people. So you have people going broke, trying to get to their 10th. That's what you telling me.
You said what?
You have people going broke trying to get to their 10th. That's what you telling me.
No, well look. You gave me a way out that don't try to speak for everybody.
All right, okay.
So I'm not going to try to speak for the masses of religion. I'm just telling you from my organization outside of the church that I serve. So I just talk about the church that I serve, and I'll talk about my organization. I would never ask someone to give me your rent money. The church that I serve, my pastor don't ask you to give me your last if you hungry. That is not biblical. That is not right. And if any man or woman that does that, they're gonna have to deal with God for that.
Right. Okay.
They're gonna have to deal with God for that. You know what I mean? So,
I can get you with that.
Yeah. So nobody should be asking that. Do churches do it? Of course.
Right.
I ain't gonna say in front and be like, nah. There is some shady. Let me tell you something. Let me give you a quick. Well, let me just take. What time is it? All right, we got like 10 more minutes. Let me take 2 minutes. Let me just do a minute. Believe it or not, in the late 70s through the 80s, and kind of like in the right at the tip of the 90s, the church, let me say, religion was like one of the biggest hustles out there.
Right.
And see, from that really tarnished religion.
Right,
You know,
because people was calling themselves Big Daddy and Daddy Mac and all that kind
I'm
of.
just being 100.
Right.
Like, it was one of the biggest hustles out there because a lot of people come out of jail, a lot of people coming from the military and different things like that.
Know how to
and they couldn't
talk.
find jobs. Right, they couldn't find jobs. So, because if you go back, you know, when you look at history of the church, particularly the method of preaching and teaching, a lot of in the early in the 70s and in the 80s, a lot of these preachers couldn't even read.
Right.
You know what I mean? They couldn't, you know, and those that could read, they didn't really hermeneutically break down scripture to provide the information in the right context and exactly what the Bible was saying. So all of that narrative about what preachers was doing, like, some of that is true.
Right.
But the church has a really tough issue of debunking that now, because we as preachers now, especially for the apostolic faith, you know, you're required to go to school, right? You know what I mean? Like in Baptists, Methodists, like, you was required to go to school. Like, so there's other faiths that's now kind of, you can't put no collar on, you can't have no particular status quo without some, you know, and that's not for every organization, but for a lot of organizations, you got to have some degrees. You got to have school. You know what I mean? So, but also because of that, that high level of intelligence, that understanding organizational from the church, and understanding from a spiritual element as well as an organizational element, a lot of pastors, a lot of preachers understand how to separate them too. That's why when, you know, what kind of got us in that conversation, when we see pastors living a certain lifestyle, we ought to start asking questions instead of just saying, oh, they taking people money. Because like I said, you know, a lot of these pastors now in this present day, especially my generation pastors, and there's a few before us, they writing books, they doing
I understand, I understand
on.
and respect that. But I'm just saying, I'm from a holy, if you talking about holy perspective, like you I don't care how much money you making, you still gotta feed your peoples. Like, that's where I come from. That's where I come from. So if a pastor not doing it, how you gonna look at me as a street guy and look at and frown upon me when I make sure my peoples eat? We grind and we get it. We gonna get it out the mud. We gonna get it some kind of way together. You know what I'm saying? I ain't just talking to you. I ain't talking your ear off. I ain't trying to feed you no lies and, you know, and try to lead you astray. But I'm talking about, if you want some money and you trying to feed your family and you trying to get some money in your hand and you need to take care of yourself and you need to have a car to drive and everything like that. Like, okay, yeah, you see that cat at the heat print, he get ready to pull off and fly his jet. He get ready to fly in his jet somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you get ready to do? Go home?
Right. But see, this is the thing. Again, I wanna make sure that I say this, because a lot of times, you know, those who are outside the church, they put all the responsibility on the pastor. And again, I'm gonna repeat this again.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. No. Look, what's that? iMac. He say his pastor making sure everybody good. That's the kind of pastor that I'm talking about. Most, and I bet you he probably agree. Most don't. I know there's a few guys out there at LMAC. I guarantee you, there's a few guys out there that's doing that, but most don't.
I'm not going to say most, because a lot of work that churches are doing is they don't necessarily put it out on the masses. Some put on social media, some don't. Like my church, like, we feed the community all the time. We do a lot of things in the community. We don't necessarily put it on social media. There are certain points when they do, but they don't. And that's just because that's my pastor's choice, which is fine with me. But what I wanted to get to was part of this. This is why I like the era of church that I'm in right now.
We got 40 seconds, cuz.
I know. So there's still a little confusion in the church, but I like the era of the church that I'm living in now, because
now
it's not just spiritual that they're feeding the flock, but they're also giving them elements of how to be entrepreneurs
and how
right?
and how to
You know
give
what I'm
back and how to
But
give
it-
back to the people.
But again, you can't force nobody to eat something that's good for them. They got to want to eat it. So if the pastor's up there having